For 140 years, we've walked past Punjab University's iconic clock tower, a landmark etched into the very soul of Lahore. We've celebrated the poets who spun verses within its hallowed halls, the premiers who shaped nations, and the Nobel nominees who pushed the boundaries of human knowledge. We've taken pride in the brilliant minds it nurtured, the intellectual giants it unleashed upon the world. But what if I told you that these very same corridors, often bustling with the quiet hum of academic pursuit, were also, in a way, forging a different kind of hero? What if they were quietly producing a breed of graduates who swapped their traditional Sherwani buttons for flying goggles, who turned chalk dust dreams into the thunderous roar of a runway takeoff? Today, we're going to unbox a forgotten cargo, a hidden chapter in Pakistan's national narrative. We're going to uncover how the lecture halls and laboratories of Lahore, far from any military base, helped taxi a nascent nation's air force to take off. This isn't the campus tour you were promised, full of quaint anecdotes and historical footnotes. This is a story of grit, ingenuity, and an unexpected partnership that quite literally saved a country's skies. So strap in. You're about to see Punjab University in a whole new light. The jolt, picture this. It's the harsh winter of 1947, just months after the tumultuous birth of Pakistan. The air is thick with uncertainty, the new nation grappling with the immense challenges of independence. On a desolate makeshift strip at Morapur near Karachi stand 13 battered Tempests. These aren't gleaming warbirds. Their tires sag like tired eyelids, their paint peeling, their engines a symphony of sighs rather than roars. They are a stark, almost heartbreaking symbol of Pakistan's fledgling air power. The cupboard, frankly, was bare. At this critical juncture, Pakistan possessed only one trained fighter pilot of its own. Just one. Everything else was a terrifying blend of theory, desperate hope, and borrowed fuel. Think about that for a moment. A nation carved out of colonial India, facing immense security threats with virtually no aerial defense. The question wasn't just urgent. It felt insurmountable. Where in mere months do you find not just pilots, but meteorologists who can read the capricious skies, sheet metal magicians who can patch bullet holes and keep aging airframes together, engineers who can coax spark plugs to fire reliably at 20,000 feet? How do you build an air force from practically nothing, with no infrastructure, no established training academies, and a desperate shortage of skilled personnel? The answer, incredibly, lay 100 miles northeast, nestled in the heart of Lahore. It wasn't a military academy, nor a specialized technical institute. It was a 65-year-old institution that had never offered a single course on ailerons or aerodynamics in its entire history. It was Punjab University. You see, while the world worried about political boundaries and refugee crises, Punjab University's science and engineering wings had been quietly, almost inadvertently, stockpiling something far more valuable: brilliant minds. These were young men and women who knew calculus the way most people knew their favorite naan recipes. They understood the physics of flight, the mechanics of engines, the intricate dance of numbers that governed the world, even if they hadn't yet applied it to aircraft. When the almost unthinkable call came, they didn't have to queue at some recruitment center. They were already, in a metaphorical sense, inside the hangars, sleeves rolled up, their slide rules clicking, ready to solve the most complex problem their young nation had ever faced. This wasn't just about patriotism. It was about the innate human drive to apply knowledge, to build, to survive, and Punjab University, with its deep academic roots, provided that fertile ground. University on the Ravi. Let's rewind a bit to truly appreciate the depth of this connection. Punjab University, founded in 1882, wasn't just another colonial outpost. It was British India's ambitious reply to the established intellectual powerhouses of Calcutta and Bombay. It was an imperial gamble, a bold statement that Punjabis, often stereotyped as martial but perhaps less academic, could also produce barristers as sharp as any in London, bishops as learned as any in Canterbury, and scholars who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the best of the subcontinent. By the 1930s, this institution had truly outgrown its Oriental colonial cradle. It wasn't merely a place of rote learning, it was a vibrant intellectual ecosystem. Its laboratories hummed with the precise, almost musical sound of hydrogen lines being observed and analyzed. Mathematics circles debated the intricate nuances of Reynolds numbers, a concept central to fluid dynamics, long before anyone imagined applying it to supersonic jets. In its hostels, midnight tea brewed hotter than the political discussions that often raged late into the night. It was a place where curiosity was not just encouraged but expected, where intellectual rigor was the highest currency. The alumni emerging from Punjab University were already making waves. Thinkers like Abdus Salam, who would later map the atom and bring home a Nobel Prize, were refining their groundbreaking ideas within these very walls. But for every globally recognized name, there were countless lesser-known ones equally brilliant, equally driven. Men like Rafiq Ahmad, Sultan Alam, and Imtiaz Haider, while Salam was conceptualizing quantum electrodynamics, these younger students were often found fiddling with balsa wood gliders on the hostel roof, their faces lit with the quiet joy of discovery. They were unaware, of course, that those toy wings, those innocent experiments with lift and drag, would soon carry the weight of national survival. They were unknowingly practicing for a future they couldn't possibly imagine. The campus culture at Punjab University was remarkably simple, yet profoundly effective. If an equation could be solved, a problem could be solved. This wasn't just a motto. It was an ingrained philosophy. It fostered a generation of problem solvers, individuals who approached challenges with analytical minds, who believed in the power of logic and ingenuity. In 1946, as the shadows of partition loomed large, that philosophy met its ultimate, most existential problem: how to build an air force for a country that was still learning to sign its own name, a country whose very existence was precarious. The intellectual groundwork, however, had already been laid, brick by painstaking brick over decades of dedicated scholarship. The stage was set for an extraordinary act of national improvisation, the phone call that changed everything. The calendar flipped to January 1948. The nascent nation of Pakistan was barely 5 months old, still reeling from the chaos of partition, its institutions scrambling to find their footing. In a quiet, somewhat austere office within Punjab University, Vice-Chancellor Dr. Nazir Ahmad sat amidst stacks of papers, undoubtedly grappling with the myriad administrative and academic challenges of the day. Suddenly, a khaki staff car, its engine still running, pulled up outside, kicking up a small cloud of dust. Its arrival signaled an urgency that transcended the usual academic rhythm. Inside the office, a young, intensely focused wing commander, Asghar Khan, a name that would one day resonate as Air Marshal Asghar Khan, the first native commander-in-chief of the PAF, slid a single, stark sheet of paper across Dr. Nazir Ahmad's polished teak desk. The message was blunt, almost impossibly demanding. We need physicists, engineers, 200 of them, within 6 weeks. And tell me, Vice-Chancellor, he asked, his gaze unwavering, can your boys fly? Dr. Nazir Ahmad, a man of immense intellect and quiet fortitude, paused. He managed a weary smile, the kind that speaks of burdens carried and battles fought. He had, after all, already lost half his faculty to the newly formed ministries in Karachi. Brilliant minds siphoned off to build the administrative backbone of the state. To be asked for another 200 for a purpose so far removed from traditional academia was staggering. Yet his reply was instant, imbued with a quiet confidence that belied the enormity of the request. No, he conceded, they can't fly. Not yet. But I assure you, Wing Commander, they can learn faster than your tiger moths can stall. That response, delivered with a wry wit and absolute conviction, wasn't just a promise. It was a testament to the university's inherent belief in its students' capacity for rapid learning and adaptation. Within a week, the venerable institution underwent a transformation. Traditional timetables, the very backbone of academic life, were ripped down. In their place, urgent notices appeared announcing special vacation courses. These weren't electives. They were crash courses in aero engines, the intricacies of internal combustion in flight. Trigonometry, essential for navigation and ballistics, was crammed into intense night sessions. Medical exams, usually a routine affair, were hastily arranged in the most unlikely of places. The cricket pavilion, echoing with the ghosts of past matches, now served as a makeshift clinic for aspiring airmen. The best minds of Punjab University, many just months away from proudly walking out with their chemistry or mechanical engineering degrees, found themselves at an unexpected crossroads. They stepped straight into the gray area between gown and uniform, between academic theory and national imperative. Their laboratories were about to become cockpits, their lecture halls the vast, unforgiving sky. It was an extraordinary moment of national service, an almost unprecedented pivot for an academic institution, driven by a single phone call and the unwavering belief in the intellectual prowess of its students. From hostel to hangar, the transformation from student to airman, from academic to technician, was swift and brutal. They gathered first at Walton Airport, a rudimentary grass strip near Lahore. It was a far cry from the manicured lawns of their university campus. Here the air smelled not of freshly cut grass and old books, but of mustard flowers, and the sharp, acrid tang of leaking high-octane fuel. This was the front line of Pakistan's aviation effort, and it was utterly raw. There were no barracks, no proper accommodation. They slept in evacuated railway warehouses, cavernous, echoing spaces where bats would dive-bomb the ceiling in the twilight hours, a constant, unsettling reminder of their primitive surroundings. By day, these former scholars, these men of letters and numbers, found themselves engaged in back-breaking manual labor. They'd manhandle 55-gallon drums of aviation fuel with their bare hands, their palms quickly blistering, simply because gloves hadn't arrived or perhaps didn't even exist in their meager inventory. It was a stark lesson in improvisation and resilience. By night, under the flickering, smoky glow of hurricane lamps, their intellectual training kicked in. They sat huddled together, poring over dense, often archaic RAF manuals. These weren't light reading. They were intricate technical documents detailing engine specifications, maintenance procedures, and flight mechanics. To make sense of them, to truly internalize the critical information, they'd translate complex torque settings and operational protocols into Urdu couplets, a poetic mnemonic device that made memorization easier. The very act of turning technical jargon into verse was a testament to their unique blend of academic rigor and cultural ingenuity. The university stamp on their transcripts, the gold medals they might have won, bought them no privilege here. If anything, it bought them extra homework, more responsibility, and higher expectations. Yet the same discipline that had once delivered those academic accolades now delivered magneto timing, carburetor adjustments, and structural repairs. Their analytical minds, honed by years of problem-solving in lecture halls, found immediate, practical application in the grease and grime of the hangar. The sheer scale of their achievement was almost unbelievable. Within 6 months, a blink of an eye in aviation terms, these civilians turned technicians, armed with little more than hand tools, managed to assemble 3 airworthy Tempests. They achieved this feat by cannibalizing the scraps of the original 13 battered aircraft. Think about that. Taking 13 broken derelict planes and, through sheer will, knowledge, and elbow grease, bringing 3 of them back to life. A modern Mirage pilot, accustomed to precision engineering and advanced diagnostics, might sniff at such a rudimentary feat. But in 1948, with virtually no resources and immense pressure, it wasn't just engineering, it was alchemy. It was a miracle born of intellect and determination, a direct consequence of Punjab University's quiet investment in minds. The first instructor pilot. Among these extraordinary individuals was a 24-year-old physics topper named Shujat Ali Khan. He was a brilliant academic, capable of reciting Maxwell's equations backward and forward, understanding the fundamental forces that govern the universe. Yet, with a touch of irony that perhaps only history can appreciate, he'd never even driven a car. His domain was the theoretical, the abstract, the world of equations and concepts. But the fledgling Pakistan Air Force recruiters saw something else in Shujat. They weren't just looking for academic brilliance. They were looking for raw talent, for reflexes, for a certain intuitive understanding of motion and space. They sent him to Risalpur, the nascent hub of PF training, because his reflexes on the cricket boundary were legendary. That quick eye, that anticipation, that split-second decision-making required to catch a fast-moving ball. They believed it would translate, and they were right. In an astonishing 8 weeks, Shujat Ali Khan soloed in a Harvard trainer, a feat that typically took months. His academic mind, accustomed to dissecting complex problems, quickly grasped the nuances of flight. A year later, he wasn't just flying. He was teaching others to loop and roll, to master the intricate ballet of aerial combat. His logbook reads like a thriller, a testament to courage and ingenuity in the face of immense challenges. Imagine his first night landing executed without the luxury of runway lights, guided only by the dim glow of flares. His first interception, not with advanced radar but by using a simple theodolite, a surveying instrument, cleverly borrowed from the university's survey club. It's a story that perfectly encapsulates the spirit of the early PAF, making do, innovating, and pushing boundaries with whatever resources were at hand. When Group Captain Shujat Ali Khan finally hung up his goggles in 1972, after a distinguished career, he had trained 4 future chiefs of air staff. Think about the ripple effect of that single individual's contribution. When asked for his secret, he'd often laugh, a twinkle in his eye, and say, "I treated the sky like an examination hall. You read the question carefully, you manage your time wisely, and you never, ever panic." It was the ultimate application of his Punjab University training, a philosophy that transformed academic discipline into aerial mastery, proving that the intellectual foundations laid in Lahore could indeed soar to unimaginable heights. His story isn't just about a pilot. It's about the profound impact of an education that nurtured not just knowledge, but also the critical thinking and resilience needed to survive and excel in the most demanding of environments. The invisible backbone. While daring pilots like Shujat Ali Khan grabbed the headlines, their heroics often masking the immense logistical and technical challenges of building an air force from scratch. Another crucial layer of Punjab University's contribution operated quietly, almost invisibly behind the scenes. This was the invisible backbone, the unsung heroes whose intellectual labor ensured that the pilots could even get off the ground, let alone triumph in the skies. Consider the statisticians. While the pilots were focused on dogfights, Punjab University's mathematics and statistics graduates were quietly building the operations research cell. This wasn't glamorous work. It involved poring over numbers, analyzing consumption rates, and predicting future needs. Their meticulous calculations plotted fuel rationing down to the last gallon, ensuring that the limited resources were allocated efficiently and strategically. Without their precise data, without their ability to forecast and optimize, the entire Air Force would have been grounded, starved of the very energy that kept its planes airborne. It was an intellectual battle fought with spreadsheets and algorithms, as vital as any aerial skirmish. Then there was Tahira Ali, a botany graduate. When vital spares for aircraft engines dried up, a common occurrence in the early days of a struggling Air Force, her unique skills came to the fore. Where others saw a problem, she saw an opportunity to adapt. She repurposed her delicate plant sectioning scalpel skills, honed in the careful dissection of flora, to meticulously cut gaskets. These weren't just any gaskets. They were precision cut, often from scavenged materials to seal crucial engine components, preventing leaks and ensuring operational integrity. Her botanical precision, seemingly unrelated to aviation, became an unexpected, indispensable asset, keeping engines running when all seemed lost. And what about information? In an era before digital databases, the challenge of organizing and disseminating technical knowledge was immense. Enter Anwar Shams, a librarian by training who quickly transformed into a sergeant with a mission. From discarded gunny sacks, he meticulously organized the first technical publication library for the PAF. These weren't fancy bound volumes. They were carbon-copied notes, hastily printed diagrams, and translated manuals. Yet these humble hand-assembled documents became the foundational syllabi at the newly established College of Aeronautical Engineering. Anwar Shams, with his librarian's dedication to order and accessibility, laid the intellectual groundwork for future generations of Air Force engineers. He literally built the knowledge base that would underpin the PAF's technical expertise. The university's motto, "I will find a way or make one," often translated from its original Latin, "Labor omnia vincit," or work conquers all, wasn't just etched above an archway. It was literally hammered into propeller blades, meticulously calculated in fuel consumption, and carefully transcribed onto carbon paper. This wasn't merely an academic institution. It was a crucible of problem-solving, a silent partner in the monumental task of nation-building, proving that intellectual capital could be just as potent as firepower. 1965, the payoff. 17 years after that frantic phone call to Dr. Nazir Ahmad, The quiet contributions of Punjab University's alumni were put to the ultimate test. It was September 1965, and the sky over Sargodha, a crucial air base, cracked with the supersonic thunder of jet engines. Pakistan was at war, and its air force, once a collection of battered tempests and borrowed dreams, was now a formidable fighting machine. And who were the men scrambling into the cockpits of advanced starfighters? They were Punjab University's children, now seasoned squadron leaders, their academic roots long since intertwined with the rigorous discipline of military aviation. Take Flight Lieutenant Yusuf Ali, a BSc mathematics graduate from the class of '57. As an Indian Mystere formation roared towards him at 600 knots, the training from his university days kicked in. He didn't have time for complex computer calculations. He relied on instinct, experience, and the fundamental mathematical principles drilled into him at Lahore. He calculated the intercept angle on the slide rule strapped to his knee, a relic of his student days, now a tool of survival. He fired, and he watched with a grim satisfaction as the first hostile aircraft disintegrated in the sky. Back in Lahore, old Dr. Nazir Ahmad, long since retired, his frame perhaps bent with age but his mind still sharp, heard the crackle of the radio, the terse flashes of news from the front. He listened to the reports of aerial victories, of the PAF holding its own against a numerically superior foe, and he whispered to no one in particular, a quiet, knowing smile playing on his lips. My boys still solve equations in the air. It was a profound moment of validation. Punjab University didn't win the war, not in the traditional sense of armies clashing, but its algebra, its physics, its engineering, its unwavering commitment to intellectual excellence, did something arguably more fundamental. It evened the odds. It provided the critical human capital, the analytical minds, and the problem-solving ethos that allowed a young Air Force to not just survive, but to punch above its weight to defend its skies and to etch its name into the annals of aerial combat. The quiet work of decades had culminated in a thunderous payoff, proving that the pen, or in this case the slide rule, could indeed be mightier than the sword. Beyond the uniform. The extraordinary connection between Punjab University and Pakistan's strategic capabilities didn't cease with the end of combat. In fact, it extended far beyond the immediate needs of defense, reaching into the very frontiers of scientific exploration. When Pakistan embarked on its ambitious space program, aiming to launch its first sounding rocket, Rebar, in 1962, guess where the complex solid fuel mathematics was crunched? On Punjab University's IBM 1620, the only computer of its kind in the entire country, west of Delhi. This wasn't just about processing data. It was about laying the groundwork for a nation's foray into space, a testament to the university's cutting-edge capabilities and the intellectual prowess of its alumni. Indeed, the labs of the Space and Upper Atmosphere Research Commission, SUPARCO, Pakistan's national space agency, were quickly populated by Punjab University alumni. These were the minds that translated theoretical physics into practical rocketry, who navigated the uncharted waters of space science with the same analytical rigor they had applied to classroom problems. And in a beautiful self-sustaining cycle, many of these pioneering scientists and engineers would later return to their alma mater as faculty, seeding the next generation of innovators, ensuring that the wellspring of talent never ran dry. This enduring legacy isn't just confined to history books. Every September, a poignant and symbolic tradition unfolds. The Vice-Chancellor of Punjab University hosts a special tea, bringing together generations. Old pilots, their backs perhaps a little stooped, their hands gripping walking sticks, stand alongside the fresh-faced new crop of aerospace MSc students. It's a moment where the past salutes the future, where the veterans share their wisdom and the eager young minds absorb the stories of those who paved the way. It's a powerful visual representation of the continuous cycle, from campus to cockpit and then back to the classroom, to inspire and educate anew. This cycle has spun for 6 decades, largely invisible to the public eye yet profoundly intact, a testament to an unbreakable bond. This intergenerational transfer of knowledge, this constant renewal of expertise is perhaps the most enduring secret of the Punjab University PAF link. It's not just about producing individuals. It's about fostering a culture of excellence, innovation, and national service that transcends individual careers and continues to shape Pakistan's strategic future, both in the air and beyond. Modern wings, ancient roots, fast forward to today, and the invisible threads connecting Punjab University to Pakistan's military aviation are more visible than ever, woven deeply into the fabric of modern training and education. The Pakistan Air Force Academy, PAFA, in Risalpur, the very place where Shujat Ali Khan first soloed, now runs a prestigious 4-year Bachelor of Science program in avionics. And who is it affiliated with? You guessed it, Punjab University. This isn't just a ceremonial affiliation, it's a deep academic partnership. The syllabi, the very blueprint for what flight cadets learn, are often penned by the same English department that, in earlier, perhaps more traditional times, might have subtly mocked the science types for their perceived lack of literary flair. Now they are meticulously crafting courses on technical report writing, ensuring that future pilot engineers can articulate complex technical information with clarity and precision, a skill as crucial in the cockpit as it is in a boardroom. Even the physical spaces tell a story of transformation and continuity. The university's Institute of Aviation Technology, a hub of modern aerospace education, occupies the old zoology labs. Imagine that. The very rooms where camouflaged alligators once floated eerily in formaldehyde, where students dissected the mysteries of the biological world, are now alive with the hum of advanced avionics equipment, their windows looking out onto a future shaped by flight. It's a powerful metaphor for the university's adaptability and its unwavering commitment to national service. If you were to thumb through the graduating class of 2023 at PAFA, you'd find a remarkable statistic. Every third pilot engineer holds a Punjab University roll number. Think about the significance of that. It's not a coincidence. It's a continuation of a bloodline, an intellectual lineage that began with those desperate young men in borrowed overalls, assembling Tempest in 1948. It's a living, breathing testament to a legacy that has endured and evolved, proving that the ancient roots of a venerable institution can indeed nourish the most modern of wings. The spirit of those early pioneers, the blend of academic rigor and practical ingenuity, continues to define the very essence of Pakistan's Air Force, making Punjab University an indispensable, albeit often unacknowledged, partner in national defense. Why the story matters. Nations, understandably, like to believe their military might is forged purely in the crucible of parade grounds, in the rigorous discipline of drill sergeants, and in the camaraderie of mess halls. They envision a clear, direct line from recruitment to combat readiness. And while these elements are undeniably crucial, Pakistan's experience, this quiet saga of Punjab University and its Air Force, whispers a quieter, more profound truth. Sometimes, the runway starts not on a tarmac but under a scholar's desk. This isn't just a quaint historical anecdote. It's a powerful lesson in national strategy. When universities invest in whiteboards, in laboratories, in the cultivation of critical thinking and problem-solving skills, they are also, perhaps unwittingly, investing in blue sky options. They are creating a reservoir of intellectual capital, a strategic reserve of ingenuity and adaptability that a nation can draw upon in its most extreme moments of need. These blue sky options, the ability to innovate, to adapt, to overcome seemingly impossible challenges, are precisely what can, in extremis, defend a frontier, both literally and figuratively. The Punjab University PAF link, therefore, isn't just a fascinating footnote in history. It is, in essence, a strategic insurance policy, meticulously written not in legal clauses or defense treaties, but in chalk on blackboards and scientific formulae, and in the quiet dedication of countless scholars and students. It underscores the fundamental truth that a nation's strength isn't solely measured by its weaponry, but by the depth of its intellectual foundations, by the quality of its education, and by the ability of its academic institutions to rise to the occasion when the very survival of the state is at stake. It's a story that reminds us that true national security begins not just in barracks, but in libraries and lecture halls where minds are sharpened, and the future is quietly, powerfully forged. If this revelation has rewired your sense of campus history, if it's made you look at your own alma mater with a newfound curiosity, then do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Because believe me, there are more untold corridors, more hidden histories waiting to be uncovered, and we want to share them with you. Drop a comment below naming a university you think might be hiding its own military secret, a silent partner in national defense. The best answer just might get a shout out in our next deep dive. And please share this with that friend who still thinks universities only produce CVs, not sorties, not heroes, not the very backbone of a nation's defense. Conclusion. And so, the next time you walk past Punjab University's crimson gates, listen past the usual canteen clatter, past the murmur of student conversations. Beneath it all, if you listen very carefully, you might just catch a faint metallic cough, the ghost of a vintage Merlin engine turning over, almost ready for one more sortie. It's a whisper from the past, a reminder of a profound, enduring truth. The gown and the flight suit are, in fact, cut from the same cloth. Only the color changes, and that perhaps is Pakistan's oldest, most potent open secret, that every diploma proudly printed in Lahore carries in invisible ink a pair of wings.